Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order, and I'll begin with asking Supervisor Campbell to lead us in the pledge. Couldn't remember who did it last.
Either one. Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Supervisor.
Thank you.
Okay, we will move into our next item of business, call to the public. Is there anyone out there that wants to address? Oh, okay. Seeing none, I'll go into our next item of business. The Public Health Service District, the Board of Supervisors will convene as the Board of Directors of the Greeley County Public Health Service District and will reconvene as the Board of Supervisors following consideration of this item consent agenda. I entertain for motion.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as listed.
I second that motion.
Motion has been made and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it, so ordered. We will now reconvene as the Board of Supervisors, and we will go into our next item of business. Flood Control District. The Board of Supervisors will convene as the Board of Directors of the Greeley County Flood Control District and will reconvene as the Board of Supervisors following this next item, the consent agenda. I entertain for motion.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as listed.
I second that motion.
Motion has been made and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it, so ordered. We will now reconvene as the Board of Supervisors, and we will move into our next item of business. Bianca Castaneda, Clerk of the Board. The floor is yours.
Thank you. We have our 2026 tentative meeting dates. Our regular sessions are the first and third Tuesday of every month, starting at 8. Those dates and times are subject to change as the board recommends or requests. We did make changes as per last discussion at our regular board meeting. That discussion was those meeting dates that were on Wednesday due to following a Monday holiday. We are changing those back to Tuesday. So we did put those on our meeting dates. And we only have 2 next year. So one in January and one in February, where those meeting dates fall on a holiday. August, there are a few dates for August, and we did highlight those. The reason for that was for our primary election dates. So as of right now, the primary is set for August 4th. Most likely that will change to the last Tuesday in July, which is the 28th. So we did put dates to have a canvas on both of those dates. So we did just keep them highlighted. Once we find out, we'll go ahead and change those accordingly. But again, right now it's currently on the 4th, August 4th. So that August meeting dates to canvas, it would be on a Monday. Per statute, we have to canvas 2 Mondays after the election and also set our tax rates.
Correct. We have to do the tax rates before the 3rd Monday in August. So that's the date by which we count back and adopt final and tentative budgets.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we won't know all of the moving parts until probably the 1st or 2nd week of the legislature. Just about everybody believes that they'll make that change to the primary within the first couple of weeks.
Okay. All right. Anybody have any? Yeah. Are you done, Bianca, explaining for now?
Yeah. So for November, I just wanted to point out also, we do have for our November 24th, our second meeting in November, we will canvass our general election at that board meeting.
Okay.
And then December, we only have one scheduled meeting. A second one is only if necessary.
Okay.
Also, our notice of our location notice we do post that. It's just letting everybody know, public, where they can find any agendas for board meetings. So those locations, actually, we post our agendas here at the court, upstairs, inside and out. At the Duncan Annex, it's posted on our website, the agenda's posted, and on our Facebook.
Just I noticed on the May 5th meeting, we'll have to highlight that because it's during the WIR conference.
Okay,
Okay.
So we'll have to move that
very good.
back a week or
You want us to make that before we publish, or do you want us to come back and look at dates that work as we get closer?
I think we can look at dates when they get closer. So I think we can publish it the way it is, but I just wanted to highlight that for you that we will
Good.
be moving that May 5th date.
Very good.
That's the only one that I know of.
Okay.
And anyone else?
Nope.
Comments, concerns? Okay,
No?
thank you, Bianca.
So do we take any action on this today?
Yes,
Mr.
yes, we do. I entertain for motion.
I move that we adopt the Greenlee County Board of Supervisors tentative meeting dates, times, and posting locations pursuant to Arizona Revised Statutes 11-214
And I might add as presented.
as presented.
And I'll second that.
Okay, motion has been made in second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I call for vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it, so ordered. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Bianca.
Thank you.
Next item of business, Derek Rapier, County Administrator. The floor is yours.
By way of brief background, we've had a long-standing intergovernmental agreement with the Eastern Arizona College, dating back as long as I can remember, where the county agrees to pay some money to help cover some of the cost of Eastern Arizona providing classes, primarily here in Greenlee County, to benefit our citizens. These range from more academic subjects to more community interest subjects. They generally employ our local constituents to teach the classes. And so we've had this ongoing arrangement for many, many years. 2 years ago, well, for fiscal year 25, somehow the wires got crossed and we didn't get an updated IGA. We finally corrected that right at the end of the fiscal year. And both my counterpart I've been working with over there, Nathan Smith, and myself went to work on making sure that we got 26 covered. As we began to go through that process, we realized that the advisory committee, about half of our committee members, their appointments had expired. And so I sent this information out to you a couple of weeks ago to sort of review. Some of you have sent some names that we should consider or whatever. What I would like simply from the board today is if you would like us to reach out to these individuals and invite them, we can do so. This is not like some like planning and zoning where it's per district. You'll see from the list that some are from one district or some are from another. And it should represent the county as a whole so that all of our citizens, have some representative input on what kind of classes are offered. But there's not a district assignment per se. So if you know somebody, if you would like us to reach out, or if you'd like to reach out, obviously we don't appoint people to committees before they know about it. And we don't generally try to strong arm them into it if they don't want to do it. But if you could let us know how you'd like to proceed, or if there's people you'd like, then we can reach out, test the interest, and then bring you back a list of appointees if you would prefer to go that way. If you'd rather do it yourself, we can do that as well. Just let us know. I've proposed to Mr. Smith that we will not adopt the IGA until we have our committee in place, but I think we can take care of that either the first or second meeting in January and fill those slots. So whatever direction you'd like to give us to proceed, we'll be glad to do so.
Just go ahead. Go ahead. Rick.
Oh, I just had a quick question. So some of these that have expired, but are still within the community, have we, or who is going to confirm that they still want to continue?
We could reach out if you want us to. Yeah, I could simply give them a call and say, hey, Mr. So-and-so or Mrs. So-and-so, you were on this committee. Would you like to continue to serve? That kind of thing.
I mean, there's obviously a few listed here that are no longer within the community,
Correct.
and we would need to make corrections and replace that. Okay, but I think for the most part, it's a good group of people, but I think a couple that I noticed need to be, one, we need to verify that they still want to serve, and then also if they don't, then that maybe you can communicate that to us.
We
to
will.
say, hey, we have so many, these roles to fill. Can you give me some suggested names or something, or reach out to somebody that might be wanting to serve?
Yes, as I looked at the list, some of these individuals I don't know personally, but perhaps you do.
Yeah.
And so if they're gone, certainly let me know if they're no longer in the community. But the other ones we could simply reach out to, and I can gauge interest in remaining. And if not, then I'll let you guys know that so and so would rather not continue.
Would you mind
We-
sending that out one more time?
I
to
will.
us,
Mhm.
just to say, hey, that way we have it fresh and we can communicate back to you.
Just the list or the entire IGA?
No, just the list. We don't need the.
As you can see, I'm on that committee and
We don't need the.
we have a meeting scheduled in January.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I would imagine some of these people who are expired will come, and that's okay. We just should
Yeah.
probably tighten it up.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna propose. I'll look at the date. I have the email that came in. We have a meeting in January. Maybe we can, if it falls between the two meetings, maybe we can, settle this thing up before that meeting.
Okay, that'll work.
I'll give you the date, okay?
That'll work. And I'll give you a call, Mr. Gomez, and see if you still have interest. I know
does.
You've been very instrumental and helpful in that committee, so we
Okay,
appreciate it.
all right, anybody, are we done? So we're not gonna take action on this,
That,
right?
all I needed was some direction.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, moving on, we'll move into our next item of business. Reed Larson, County Engineer, and Derek Rapier, County Administrator. The floor is yours. Whoever would like to speak first.
But I'll introduce this, and then have Reed address a little bit kind of the process we're going to get there. So as we've gone through in our internal committee, we worked through the different aspects as we've developed the projects we've been working on. Our diversity of experience has been pretty wide, and so we thought we had some ideas about what things would cost, and we've been off a little bit, but by and large we've estimated fairly well. Till it came to lighting, we were woefully undervaluing what it cost to put in lighting. So Tony reached out to one company. They never got us anything in writing, but they gave us kind of a ballpark estimate of $350,000 to light one field. There's another company that works under one of the cooperative buying agreements, and he reached out to them. They gave us a more formal proposal. It was about $260,000. At that point, we backed up and realized that we're gonna have to figure out another approach to this. And so as we've been working through that and trying to find different options, we realized that probably what we ought to do at this point, since we know that the price point is likely well above $100,000, is we should go out and solicit bids. And so what we're asking the board to do today is give us permission to go solicit formal sealed bids. We want to do it on kind of a tight timeline. The field of people who do this, particularly in Arizona, is fairly small. And in our particular region, even smaller. But we'd like to reach out and do this in a formal process rather than the informal way we've tried to figure out what these things cost. Our hope is to have this ready to go for a decision at our first meeting in January. Part of this is driven by the fact that in our process of redeveloping fairgrounds, we have taken out the old ball field. So our Little League needs a place to play down there. We're also getting a lot of inquiries that when those fields are done, people would like to come do tournaments on them and so forth. But the immediate need is to get up and ready by Little League season. So our target is the end of January. We'll be pressing, but that's why we're going to try to make this process as quick and efficient as we can. So we'd simply like from the board permission to go out and seek bids, sealed bids for the lighting process. if at the end of that process, we look at this and you say, still too rich, we can't afford it, then we will back up and see if we can find yet other solutions. But at this point, we'd like to ask for permission to do that.
Any
Can I ask a
questions? Sure, go ahead, Ron.
Is there a, you know, I'm always big on scope of works, right? You're gonna
Mhm.
get tired of hearing me say that, but I mean, do we have a picture of the area that we're looking to, you know, get lit? You know, do we have it defined? Do we want LED? Do we want metal poles? Do we want old wooden poles?
This is where we hand it back to Reed.
Okay.
Who does have more
I
of that
figured,
technical data.
that's why I said it loud,
Yes,
so he
yes.
could hear.
I could make stuff up, but you'd see right through
You
me.
junk.
So Supervisor Campbell, that this ball field lighting is rather complicated and we've talked about it a lot. We've been talking about it for weeks and even months. And the specifications that we are working on and that we're going to give to the bidders are what I would call a performance-based specification as opposed to a cookbook or a method spec.
Mhm.
So we're not telling them how high we want the poles to be or anything like that. We're just telling them that Tony has the specifications, the Little League specifications, that the infield of a ball field has to be lighted to so many lumens or whatever that term is. And the outfield similarly has to be lighted to so many lumens. And so we're going to give that broad specification to these bidders. And then they're going to choose, they're going to have quite a bit of latitude in how they skin the cat. And they'll propose a height of a pole and a density of lighting, a number of lights per pole, and a pole placement even that satisfies that performance specification.
But like on the side of, you know, even aesthetics wise, right? I mean, you know, we're putting a bunch of money into that area and we want it to last forever, right? And I think that's our big thing, is building that infrastructure to last. And so do we want to stipulate that it's metal poles versus old, you know, the telephone poles? You know, I mean, do we want to, for our own desires, do we want it to look better with metal poles rather than, you know what I mean, rather than telephone poles? Because
Correct.
there might be a company that's going to bid on this and they're going to say, hey, I can get lights up there, but I'm going to use used telephone poles that I'm going to go buy, and then it would look
And
not wonderful.
and we can
I
do
picked
that.
that up.
But on the flip side of that, when we take these proposals back to you, the board, we'll be asking you to award based on best value for the county.
Yeah.
And that's going to include lowest cost, but it's also going to include, you know, if one proposer has a better product or a product that you like better, I believe it's within your purview and you have the latitude to lean that direction.
Yeah, as long as they identify that in their proposals, right? I mean,
Yeah. And we're, by the way, we'll also ask them to, they're going to need to turn in a schedule for the work that they are going to do. And you can, part of your evaluation can certainly be the schedule.
Oh, of course. I think that's a big one for us. Obviously, the schedule, getting that done, getting those areas lit. But I just want to clarify that if we have desires, whether that's, you know, height of the poles or lumens or LED or, you know, whatever, you know, that we identify those. I understand the specifications on the ball fields and having the proper lumens in whatever areas of that to meet, you know, Little League standards or whatever. But I think going further, you know, just the additional step is how we want it to look when it's all done.
Yeah.
That's all.
I would just say we're in a hurry. It's a very active, ongoing discussion that we're having amongst staff, Derek and Tony and David Manus, myself and others, Austin. We talk about it weekly, almost daily. And so some of the things that you're bringing up, I feel like we need to get back together and talk about them some more before that final specification is out the door to the proposers.
That's the only reason I mentioned it. So
Oh, I was just gonna make a comment. I know I had a brief conversation with Derek about this when he revealed to me the outrageous amount that came out of this initially. And based on everything that you're asking are some of the things I discussed with Derek in regards to aesthetics and materials and so on and so forth too, and maybe going out and seeing if we could find somewhere, you know, some institution or something has replaced their poles and everything, and they're in great shape, they're metal and so on and so forth. So I don't know, are we still looking, are we still gonna look into that?
We've looked at a lot of different things. We're finding that the kinds of poles that light, you know, ball fields are not as easy to come by in the used market. At least we've not located any.
Because they last forever.
Well, and that's
Get a
the
paint job,
idea.
you know?
They don't even paint them. They just stand there and don't rust. But what we're looking for at this point is, can somebody supply us, you know, sort of a turnkey operation? We have thought about the aesthetics. That will be part of the evaluation. And anybody who asks, we can let them know, because we've looked at a supplier who does pine poles
Mhm.
out of the south. And I think we learned there was about a 12-week lead time, somewhere's in there. And the wood and the metal poles each have their pros and cons. Aesthetics is one. Interestingly, for the facility just to the southwest, wooden poles seem to fit the aesthetic around a rodeo arena, but
Mhm.
maybe not so much at a ball field.
Okay.
But we'll see what bids come in, and then, like I say, I think you can value. The law does not require you to take the lowest cost bidder all the time. It is an overall value, and so.
Okay.
And Supervisor Gomez, from my perspective, we're fighting the clock, and some of these proposers may identify used poles and present those as part of their proposal to us or as an alternative. But we've had our ear to the ground internally, and I think as fast as we want to move at this point, the county itself probably would not identify used poles. Just a quick side note, I might interest you gentlemen to know that we've been ganging up on your county administrator. There's a saying that engineers love to spend other people's money, and I think I've told you that before. But in this case, it's not just his engineer, it's also his public works guys, and he looked long and hard at wooden poles just because of the cost advantage, and we told him, nah, we don't.
Yeah.
We think wooden poles are not the right answer. We may or may not have convinced him of that. But we'll see.
Ultimately, you'll see.
It might convince them.
Yeah.
He likes to spend other people's money, but I try to keep a pretty tight hold on them.
That's okay, that's all right. Okay, good. Well, I just, like I said, I wanted to shoot that out there so in these instances where we're maybe not up against the time, you know, a time crunch as we are, that if we can identify everything that we possibly want,
Right.
you know, in a scope before sending it out to bid, then, you know, then that's what we're gonna get back. And so, anyway.
I think.
Go ahead.
I think one of the things we're facing too is I've worked with Reed on this, is every electrician you talk to has a different electrical story. So I believe the performance request in this situation, I think, will be best for us to look at and make sure that they're covering all their bases in that proposal. Because I think if we were to go out in this situation and ask for, you know, a specific KV on the transformer and all this, we would get multiple other opinions as to what could work and what couldn't work. So the more I look at it, the more I agree with the performance type base that, hey, is this going to fit what we need? Is this going to have the proper lumens and the right amount of shadows erased out of the field so that we can see the ball when it's hit and all that? So I believe I think we're on the right track, is my thoughts.
You know, surely there's, I'm sorry, Will, but surely is there a contractor that works in the mine? You know, they keep expanding here, there, and everywhere, and they need lighting everywhere. So
We will
is there,
certainly cast that net that direction if there is.
And please reach out if you need somebody to send it to.
Okay. Will do.
Okay. Yeah, you think that there,
You got lots
that
of,
kind of
you
activity
got lots of
going
them
on,
up there.
over there
Yeah.
and stuff and, okay. All right.
Send it to Emergency Water and Electric. They might they might. Freeport might be.
They might donate it.
Right.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks, Reed.
Thank you. Thank you, Derek.
Do we need to,
Okay. Yeah, do we need to
We need to-
take any action on here? We do
We do
because we
approve.
want to go out for bids. Okay.
Have to go out for sealed bids on lighting of the ball fields at.
I entertain for motion.
I move that we grant permission to seek bids to construct lighting for ball fields at the fairgrounds and playground area at the Greenlee County Fairgrounds.
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion has been made and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, ayes have it so ordered. Thank you, gents.
Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Larson.
Thank you, Reed.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Derek.
Okay, we'll move into our next item of business. Eric Ellison, the sheriff.
Good
Floor is
morning,
yours.
Chairman, Board. Eric Elson, Greenlee County Sheriff. Today, we just want to get consideration or be able to go out for bid or not to purchase whichever one we bid in. I'm sorry, I'm all tongue-tied this morning on and that's just going to explain the bids that we got. We end up getting 4 bids that ranged from $31,000 to $40,000. The middle, and there's a big difference in what I'm looking at in their bids. One of them, the 31,000, the footings are quite a bit smaller than the other 2 that are in the mid range. And he has welded wire mesh, and the other bids have rebar in that. So I think quality, I heard you guys talking about, cheap isn't always the best. And then if you look at, and that was Concrete Brothers. I think you guys have the things. Do you have the bids in front of you there?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And if you look at Yent's Concrete, he actually was at 38,000. He dropped it down, reducing a pumper truck. And so he's at 35,000. But if you look at his footings, they're larger and deeper, and he's using rebar continuously through the foundation. So I'm not the engineer here, but you can tell me the difference. Reed, what do you think on quality on some of this stuff?
Just probably bigger footings are better.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
And if you look at Mr. Woods, he's like, I think about $1,000 cheaper than Yent's Concrete. If Tony was here, he would tell you that he really was pleased with Yent's Concrete with the jobs that they did in the past. Not just, he was very pleased with the surface and the quality of the work. But, and then the $40,000 one, I don't know anything about that company. And the 31,000, I don't know. I got that one off of Angie's list. They have very good reviews, but I mean, ultimately the decision's up to you guys, which business you want to use. But the 2 middle ones, there's $1,000 difference between the 2, and they're comparable.
Where is JBM?
That's Pima. Oh wait, JBM, is that the $40,000 bid?
No, that was.
Oh, okay.
34,200.
Yeah, so that one's Pima. That one's out of Pima. JBM.
And you said as you reviewed them, they had good reviews?
Well, I don't know anything about JBM. I just talked to him on the phone. But the Angie List one from Wilcox had the good reviews. They're the cheapest, but they're also, the footings are not comparable to the other 2 bids as well. So,
Well, I'm personally all in on the rebar versus the mesh, without a doubt.
yeah. And I think the Pima one also has rebar, and Yent's has rebar in the bids. Yeah. And so Austin just brought up JBM also has, what does he have, 5-star reviews as well. So between those 2 companies, they're both very good. All 3 of them have good ratings.
I know
Fourth one.
we've had, Mr. Chairman.
Go
I
ahead.
know we've had good experience with Yent's in the past, and it is roughly $1,000 higher, $1,200 higher than JBM. JBM has the footers at 18 inches by 22 inches deep. And Yentz has the footers at 16 inches wide by 22 deep. So the JBM is actually
A little bit bigger.
a little bit bigger of a footer, and they're using rebar as well. I don't know. If it were me, I mean, for the cost, I mean, I think I would throw away the personally throw away the top one, which is the wire mesh. That's the lowest bid. And obviously we're going to throw out the highest bid because there's just no reason to really look at it. But if we're looking at JBM and Yentz is $1,200 more, but JBM has 2-inch wider footers. Anyway, I think I would gravitate towards JBM. I don't know them at all, but if they're local.
Have you heard it? I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
Ron, have you heard anything about them, Eric?
No, that would be more of a Reed Larson
Yeah,
question
yeah,
because
that's
his
getting
realm.
to Also, have you heard anything about them, Reed?
I have not, Chairman Gomez, I'll share my opinion with you. I would go with Yentz Concrete. We, on that, our new public works building, part of the specification was the winning bidder needed to go out and verify the anchor bolts on that slab. And we switched horses midstream, as you gentlemen well know, and went with, Ward Brothers. And I was talking to one of their guys, and I mentioned to him that they were supposed to go verify those anchor bolts before they started, which the day you awarded that project to them, they had the columns up. So they were moving fast. But he said, oh, it's Yentz Concrete. We don't need to verify it. We know it's good. And I just use that comment from that gentleman as a segue into my opinion that I would much rather spend a little bit more money and go with somebody that we're comfortable with than go with somebody that we don't have experience with. That's my two.
Top works in my realm, so I really don't know.
If I might, Mr. Chairman, the source of this money is a grant that you received?
No, it's not actually a grant. It's the marijuana. It's the 207 fund.
Okay.
It's marijuana tax is what it comes, and that's where the money's coming out of. So it's actually not a grant, but it's a fund. So
It's
funny
a
that
fund that is funded by taxes on legally sold marijuana.
correct. It's a line. I think it's just a line item, right? So-
Right.
So as long as it doesn't go up in smoke, we'll be fine.
Right.
You're
Although
dating
it may
yourself now.
house the marijuana.
Well, just quickly, I mean, Gary, maybe you could help us in this because, if we're choosing to go with a contractor and, that we like better, but is $1,200 more, right? We have experience with this contractor. I think they've done great work for us. I'm not hearing any technical difference or benefit from Yentz versus JBM. But how can we explain going with Yentz based on our prior experience, even though they are $1,200 higher?
I think as long as you explain it, yes.
And when the statute talks about lowest and best,
Mm-hmm.
I think experience is one of those things the board can exercise discretion on. And the erection of the Public Works Building was a good example where we went with an unknown quantity. And it didn't turn out well. We turned to the next highest bidder, who was a known quantity, and that building went up so fast, it made your head spin.
Yeah.
And so, and even though there was a price differential, so I think in this regard, unlike a building that can be, bolted together and taken apart and fixed and so forth, cement, when it's down, it's down. It's kind of a one-way street.
Right.
So,
Okay. As long as we're good with it, and I appreciate the comments as far as, our past experiences with Yentz and their support of us. And so I think that's great. It's not a big difference. Seems the quality is pretty specifications are very similar. Maybe a little different, but similar.
I didn't see anything here about how long it would take him to do this. Is-
Yeah, he said he would make it a priority. Well, all of them actually did, so they would have it done as soon as the dirt work is done. They would be up here to get it going. So I told him I'd prefer it to be, before the end of January being completed. And all four of them actually said they would accommodate that.
Okay,
So
all right. Well, I think we've covered it all. Besides the motion.
I move that we approve the award to create the concrete pad 40 by 60 to Jens's Concrete LLC in the amount of $35,400 and no cents.
Maybe just add, based on their use of rebar and our past experiences.
Yeah, based on our past experiences and best value to Greenlee County, the sheriff's
I'll
office.
second that.
Okay, motion has been made a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I call for vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it, so ordered.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Okay. We will now move into our next item of business. Derek Rapier, County Administrator, and Bianca, Clerk of the Board. Floor is yours.
I'm gonna start out, well, I will go over our revenue very briefly. We'll start with the county half-cent sales tax. We can see that our actual realized revenue from this source is tracking about where we thought it would. We are on the year about $75,000. Should all the other months track about the same average, we would end up with about $75,000 more, 75.5 more than we projected during our budget process last year. We always hope that it's rosier than that, but having real numbers is better for budgeting purposes than optimistic numbers we can't reach. You'll see in column AG and AH, we are in negative territory compared to the previous 3 years and compared to last year for the month of November, the month of November. I'm not sure that's a disturbing trend because some of those were, you'll recall, we anticipated a dip in the revenue during COVID, and we actually saw an almost meteoric rise in our sales tax revenue during COVID. And so those red numbers actually represent coming off of the bubble, if you will, for our local half-cent sales tax. The average monthly half-cent sales tax we projected at $120,000 a month, and we're actually realizing about $126,000. So it's not a meteoric rise like we saw before, but it is above pace, which is good. Shifting over to the state shared sales tax. Maybe, there we go. You see a bit different story. And I've highlighted because we realized this last month that this pink 3-year average number, it's really an anomaly because you'll recall this number was influenced by a change in the sales tax on electricity for mining operations. That actually our local taxpayer made up the difference. They simply said, we don't want to hurt you in this change. And so they made up the difference. But in terms of analytics, it looks like we had a terrible, disastrous month. So I've highlighted that difference in pink over on the average. But you see, we're slightly off for this month by about 10% lower than the 3-year average. Again, that represents that bubble that we saw during COVID and just after COVID. And then our year over year, we're slightly down as well. However, on the year, we budgeted based on $5,400,000, which, as I recall, represents 425,000. Was it 450? Renee, it's 450.
I think 450. 425 was the year before.
It was the year before. again, taking the conservative approach to our budgeting, that puts us in great shape down here. As you see that on the year for our state shared sales tax, we're approaching about $1 million over projected. That's of course, if the averages hold throughout the year. We expect that they won't necessarily. There will be months or even a quarter where they dip. But currently we're on pace between the half-cent sales tax and the shared sales tax to be about $1 million over our projection. Obviously we can only spend what we've budgeted. And so taking that conservative approach has worked well for the county for decades. We'll continue to do so. But if these trends continue, then that allows us to make, perhaps more optimistic projections in fiscal year 27.
Any explanation on the dip in November? I mean, we hadn't had that dip in past years. I mean, you're going from 479 to 461, I mean, 10%, but well, I guess was that 23, 487 to 404, but
Yeah, I don't. And it could be this, unlike our half-cent sales tax, this is heavily influenced by severance tax. Some of that can be cyclical. In other words, when severance is reported to DOR. So we know that the activity is, so for our November distribution, the activity is occurring in September. It's reported in October and distributed in November. So, and the trouble is there's a lot of moving parts. You can go to the statute and find the formula. You just don't know what the inputs are. By law, we're not allowed to know what numbers go into the formula. We can see the formula. And that's primarily to protect proprietary information. And our county is probably the flagship reason why, because it's not hard to trace back where most of that money's coming from. And so depending on how severance is handled, depending on, what they're buying, if they buy new truck beds or they buy, things like that, it will affect that. And so there isn't an easy explanation for that dip. Like I say, you'll see in some years there's actually been a bump from October to November. In other years, there's been a drop. And so I wish I had a good explanation for you. I don't.
no. You wouldn't be working here if you knew it for sure. I mean,
If I did,
you'd be
yes.
speculating.
That $1 billion lottery, it wouldn't be there. I'd have bought the ticket. So, but yeah, so we are, for better or for worse, limited to what we receive, and then we do our analytics based on those trends. Okay. And happy to answer any other questions.
No, we're doing great.
Okay. Yes, it's always good to have a positive number down here than a red one. So I'll just change the color so it's always positive, right? The other thing I want to talk to you about, and so there are two things that are going to be hot topics right out of the box at the legislature. In fact, they will be talked about almost certainly during the State of the State. And the first is the change of the primary. And I think there's probably unanimous or near unanimous support for that change. Interestingly enough, the one who may not like the change is Representative Culloden, who's running to be Secretary of State. And he's kind of got his own ideas about how elections should be run. He's already dropped several elections bills. But I think on the whole, people realize in order to get all of the notices out, particularly to our overseas voters and our uniform, our military voters, you've got to have more distance between the primary and the general election. And that's primarily due to the recount rules that were changed 4 years ago. The other hot topic that is, and I've heard people all over the map say, yes, we're going to do this or we're going to do that. And that is conforming state tax laws to the changes in the federal tax laws. So the big, beautiful bill, which has now, I think, been rebranded as something else. But essentially, it made several changes to the tax code. Some of the most notable, or at least high profile, were no more taxes on tips or overtime. In a community like this, that makes a big deal. When you expand that policy all across the state of Arizona, what usually happens in the first week or two of January at a legislative session is they go through and they conform. They basically say, we'll adopt all those federal changes. If you don't tax tips, we won't tax tips. If you don't tax overtime, we won't tax overtime. The trouble is, if they do that this year, it's going to leave about a $400 million hole deficit in their current budget, and that could expand to 600 or 700 million in the next year. So there are some who are diehard, don't tax, don't spend types that are saying we are all in. There are some other equally conservative, but on different tanks, are saying maybe we can adopt some, not all. Some even in the Republican Party are saying we can't afford to do this. We need to remain solvent, and we can't be solvent if we do this. The Democrats have been more muted. Their concerns are somewhat predictable, that if you conform, you're going to cut big holes in programs that help people on the ground. And so that debate, I've heard several people say we'll solve it in the first couple of weeks, but they were going to solve a budget last year in April. They went to June 30th. I'm just not optimistic they will solve that quickly. That becomes a problem in as much as that some of the big, beautiful bills tax changes go back to calendar year 25, which means as you fill out your federal form this year, if those changes affect you, you'll get a break for the taxes you haven't filed yet. But for Arizona, you got to solve that quick enough that those changes can be made so that as people start getting their W-2s and start filling out their tax forms, it's accurate. One thing I've heard consistently is people don't want to put taxpayers in a situation where they file their taxes and then have to come back and amend because the legislature finally in April got around to conforming or not conforming or partially conforming. Anyway, that's going to be an issue that we're going to want to keep an eye on early on. If the way it touches us, we don't get income tax, towns do, but counties don't. But when you start cleaning quarters out of the couch cushions and you don't have enough, where do you go looking? You look to your children's piggy banks, and we are the state's children, as they oft remind us. And so that shows up in terms of mandates that aren't funded. That shows up in fund sweeps. You recall during the Great Recession, they took HERF from us. And it shows up in 1,000, paper cuts to where little streams of money are cut here and there. That's why we want to keep an eye on it. So if they create a big $400 million hole, what are they going to fill it with? What are they going to cut? And they almost never cut what we do. They just tell us we got to fund it.
Right.
So I hate to sound so pessimistic. We've seen this music play before, and we've seen the dance before. So I just don't think there's unanimity even in the Republican Party on this issue.
Yeah.
So there'll be some bloodletting and probably some angry words said on the floor of the legislature.
And this is happening at every state legislature across the nation, I mean, because they're all in the same.
Well, in some states, they actually have what they call auto conforming, and it's part of their constitution. So when the feds change, their tax commission just implements. There's about, I think, 17, 19 states somewhere in there that do that. So there will be bloodletting, but it will already have taken place.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are some states that don't conform at all. But you're right, for about 30 of them, this debate's happening everywhere.
Okay.
So I guess it's good to be part of a chorus instead of a solo screaming, but it's still, there's going to be some weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth.
I don't think we've ever approached the legislature and thought, we know exactly what's going to happen. It's okay. We feel good about it. But
you are correct. It's always exacerbated by the fact that you got one leader, the Senate president, who's running for attorney general. You've got a very vocal proponent of election reform who's running for secretary of state. Being a legislator gives you a bully pulpit. It gives you, but it also distracts from the work of the legislature. And you never know what's going to happen in, say, late January, early February that takes over the legislature saying we got to solve this new problem we didn't know about, and it consumes just about everything else. So,
all right. Let the fun begin.
Let the fun begin. But I wanted you to be aware of that. So that's my report on legislative and budget issues.
Thank you.
Thank you. Calendar, Bianca.
Not too much going on the rest of the month. Our offices are closed Christmas Day, Thursday. Our office will be open from 7 to 6 next week, just because we do have the three-day week. That's all I have for December, unless the board has something else to add. January 1st, Thursday, New Year's Day, our offices are closed. That week also will be 7 to 6, that 3-day week. Our first board meeting in January is on the 6th. County managers on the 16th. Our offices are closed. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, that Monday. Our board meeting will be on Tuesday, the 20th. ECO on the 21st, and CSA, the legislative reception. The 22nd, CSA board meeting, and that's all I have for January. Unless the board has something else to add. February 3rd, our first board meeting for the month. County managers on the 13th. Our offices are closed. President's Day on the 16th, Monday. We will have our board meeting that Tuesday, the 17th. ECO and small counties on the 18th, CSA on the 19th. The NACO Legislative Conference will start February 21st and go through the 24th. And that's all I have for that month.
Give up something else.
You hit 2 of those Tuesdays pretty quick in the first part of the year.
And then we're done.
Yes, yeah,
For the
there's
supervisors.
only 2.
Here,
Yeah.
okay. We travel this day, 20th.
Yeah.
20th. Back. Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Bianca. Anybody have anything to add? The council?
No, sir. Mr.
Not yet.
Good. All right, we'll move into our next item of business, consent agenda. I entertain promotion to approve the consent agenda.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as listed.
I second that motion.
Motion has been made in second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, ayes have it, so ordered. Okay, supervisor reports.
I don't have anything for this meeting.
On November 20th and 21st, I was able to go down to Phoenix and take part in the ATRA conference down there, and that was very good for me to learn about what is coming up in the future and involving taxation and some deeper financials agendas that are going on with the state. So that was a very good experience for me, and I just wanted to report back that that'll help better prepare me for the upcoming year and what we're looking at for a state and the legislature and some of the challenges we're going to have. They seem to think that the future looks pretty good for the near future. So hopefully that'll be the case and that they can stay on schedule and work through those issues. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. I have, and I left my notes downstairs, but I attended the ACO conference along with Bianca and Austin, and a lot of good presentations that went on there. A lot of things going on with elections, and there was one gentleman, and like I said, I left my notes downstairs and I don't remember the gentleman's name, but he gave an excellent presentation about that he goes around the whole nation here, there, and everywhere, and just the uncertainty that our country is in right now. And it was a perfect timing for that type of presentation to be given about everything that's going on with employees at institutions like our county and so on and so forth, and feeling the stress and the uncertainty of where our country is headed to right now. And hopefully things will start changing. But it was excellent. I wish, and I think they recorded it. I was told they recorded it, and there's information on this presentation that this individual gave that I'm going to pursue and try to get and give to you folks, because I believe that everybody should sit in on this type of presentation that he gave. It was, like I said, it was excellent. Kind of gave you an ease of mind that everybody does know what's going on, and of course we have folks that are for it and folks that are not for it, and we're just in a time right now and within our country that we can't all agree for the good. Lot of concerns, and I mean, and you see it all the time, you know, what went on all this, on this yesterday and this weekend and everything, all these things that are going on with crime and assaults and deaths, and it's just, it's really sad. It's really sad that we're in the situation that we're in. And but anyway, all in all, it was I don't know if Austin or Bianca want to mention anything about what went on in ACO, but it was a good conference, very well attended. I slipped over to the CSA meeting on Thursday, and there was a presentation on housing there going on. I also have information on that. And Derek, you were there from the beginning of it. I got there a few minutes late. I got tied up in traffic in a car accident, not mine, but someone else's. But you want to say anything on that?
Yes,
Derek?
and I noted that the statute allows the administrator, and I had a couple of things I wanted to report to the board on. One was the housing issue. It's primarily a trend study. We are not alone. Every county in the state is looking for housing. They have different problems. They're looking for different solutions. For some, the casita type model to increase housing. For some, it's targeting lower household income housing, but we're not alone. Our problem is unique in that our primary issue has been land availability. But there are, and I asked specifically if they had solutions. She did not. They were just studying. So we got a copy of the booklet, and I think that'll be worth studying for us. Rolling back briefly to the county managers meeting the week before, there was one issue that we're looking at, and that's our PSPRS unfunded liability. I've got to set up a meeting with the person from PSPRS. We'll talk about that and where our trends are. But the more important one that I wanted you to be aware of is Maricopa County is currently engaged in litigation with their treasurer. The litigation looks an awful lot like our litigation. In fact, other than two different offices, they're Siamese twins. They're joined at the hip. The issues there are who has funding authority. There's some issues about election responsibilities that the statutes don't necessarily make clear, but that's becoming the smaller part of the litigation. The biggest part of the litigation is that their recorder is claiming that he has the authority to unilaterally go out and buy various equipment, hire people. Basically, does it sound familiar? To do what he wishes without the board's oversight. Those litigants, as we did, have approached CSA about a potential amicus brief at the appellate level. That's still several months off. I visited with Craig about that. He and I have had some substantive discussions. It appears that one aspect of litigation has not been fully developed, which the counties would be very helpful on, and that's the Uniform Accounting Manual for counties. And so, in any event, I've passed on to him our attorney, Justin Ackerman, who is, in my opinion, probably one of the most well-versed attorneys in the state on this issue. But would not be surprised. Other counties are already committing that they will support it financially. But we may have an ask come to support CSA in filing such a brief. I'll keep you updated as that litigation goes on. That'll probably go through a bit of a quiet period, but I would imagine there'll be a trial court level, which is where we ended, probably within the next few months. And then it'll go to appeal. They don't, the clock ran out on our appeal, but I'm glad we didn't have to pay for it. But it would be nice to have some answers. So maybe we help get some answers at a much lower tab.
Thank you, Derek. One other meeting that I attended, and I attended with Reed here. We went to State Land the day before the ACO conference broke out, and to visit with him about all the applications that Greeley County has, and it was kind of well, encouraging that Greeley County, one of them has just been completed. The one, of course, and we all know about it, is the one from the landfills where we picked up the property there, addition to the landfill, and Reed picked up the final paperwork on that. And then there's 3 more pending, the one at the Y, Modest Bluff, and the one at the 3-way. And those guys were just kind of kidding around saying that we're the smallest county in the state of Arizona and we had the most the most applications out there for state land. Of course, it's not in big numbers. I mean, we're not talking about like what goes on down in Phoenix and everything, but we had a very, very good meeting with them, and it's kind of nice to go to an office like that they treat you with open arms. I mean, it was just we had a very good conversation about every project that we're working on, and they're so receptive to help us out on anything that we need from them. And you come out of there, you know, feeling really good about the projects, and we know that we're going to get them done. I don't know if Reed wants to add anything to that, but
Probably beyond the scope of the reports. To have Reed talk about that.
oh, okay. All right. We'll do that. But anyway, everything's moving right along with all these projects, and we're looking forward to getting them done. So that's all for me.
Great.
Okay, well, I guess that is the last business item, and this meeting's adjourned.
Good.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome.